Hola, I'm Fibers and welcome to Grimlight. In today's video, I'm gonna create a tier list for warriors. And before I start doing it, I want to make it clear that this tier list will be based on my own experience and opinion after playing Grimlight since day one. So like any other tier list, it won't be 100% accurate, but I'm sure it will be good enough to help new players to figure out which heroes are worth leveling up. I have divided the tier list in 5 different tiers: D the worst, C average, B good, A pretty good, and S the best. I want to say that in Grimlight almost every hero is useful, and that's why I have called the tier C average, because the heroes in that tier are still fine. The only heroes that I don't recommend to level up at all are the heroes in tier D. Let's do it! This time, the only hero that deals magic damage is Odette. The rest of the warriors deal physical damage. Starting from the bottom, in D tier we have Cowardly Lion and Scarecrow. Cowardly Lion is a 3-star 4-cost nature warrior. Her stats are not that low for being a 3-star, but the problem is that her active ability does a small amount of damage. She doesn't have a passive, and her trait is not really what she needs. Scarecrow is a 3-star 3-cost fire warrior. This time the main problem is in her stats. She has the worst stats among warriors. Her active ability has a bit more use than the one of Cowardly Lion, thanks to the knockback and that she applies physical weakness, but once again she doesn't have a passive. In C tier we have Bathory, Red and the Beast. They are fine but not incredible. Bathory is a 4-star 3-cost dark warrior. Her stats are a bit low, but thanks to her kit, she could be useful in PvE, but never in PvP. This is due to her passive. Her passive increases her attack 15% every 5 hits, reaching plus 75% attack as max. This is something that could be activated in PvE with the proper healing and protection, but this type of effects don't work well in PvP. In PvP you need the character to be strong from the start of the combat. Bathory is the budget version of Dracula. Red is a 4-star 3-cost fire warrior. Her stats are pretty similar as Bathory, but with a bit less of health and attack speed. She basically deals damage with her active and passive, and she will deal more damage to characters burning, so as most of fire units, she just doesn't deal enough damage and you will have to create a full fire team to reach her max potential. For now, this doesn't seem worth to do. The Beast is a 4-star 6-cost nature warrior. Yeah, you have here well, cost 6. The Beast is the only hero with this cost in the game, and as I have mentioned in my Assassin's tier list, when I was talking about Kaguya, the Beast is the hero with the highest base attack of the game. His stats are incredibly high, and he has so much attack speed for being a warrior. Why is he so bad in the ranking then? Well, in my opinion he has two problems. He's really high cost, and his kit is not what he needs. His active ability increased his attack and attack speed even more, so his damage will come only from his basic attacks and his passive. Every 5 hits he will deal some damage in a small area and knock back the enemies, and his trait heals him a bit every 3 seconds. So here is the problem, he is missing a real damage ability that could take advantage of his incredible high stats. But he can be really useful in some events. An example of this is in the video of my YouTuber mate Koyex, where he showed to us how the Beast could bright in that specific event, and I'm sure that he will bright again in future events. This time I'm gonna skip B tier. In A tier we have Odette and Dracula. Odette is a 4-star 3-cost water warrior. Her stats are pretty low, but the magic comes from her kit. She is able to inflict silence in a small area with her active ability. I have already mentioned how good is this effect in the past. What makes her an incredible frontline to act as a tank is her passive and her trait. Her passive gives her plus 20% attack speed and plus 20% of evasion for 20 seconds at the start of the combat. This, plus the 10% evasion of her trait, makes her have a total of 30% evasion for 20 seconds. If we combine this with a full evasion set, so plus 10% evasion from the weapon and plus 15% evasion from 3 other pieces, Odette will have 55% evasion for the first 20 seconds of combat and 35% evasion after that. This is huge! And the good thing is that this effect is good for PvE and PvP. Nowadays, you have to be careful if you play against Van Helsing due to his 100% accuracy. But besides that, Odette is an incredible frontline. Dracula is a 5-star 5-cost dark warrior. I honestly had him on rank B before the last hero balance changes of Grimlight, but he received an incredible buff on his attack and defense. If he was already good in PvE, now he's even better. His base attack has changed from 360 463 to 510, and his defense has changed from 215 to 329. He has a really good attack speed, a really good active ability that now will deal even more damage, and as Bathory, he can increase his attack thanks to his traits. Bathory has a 10% natural lifestyle, Dracula has 30%, but as I have mentioned before, he will be a beast in PvE, because it's easier to stack up this type of effects, but in PvP it's not that easy, and he will suffer a lot due to the crowd control. Finally, in S tier we have Alice. Alice is a 5-star 4-cost fire warrior. She is a character with so much value. She has really good stats and she has the highest attack among warriors. Alice works pretty well with an evasion set as Odette. She has a natural 20% evasion thanks to her traits. She heals all allies every 3 hits and she gains extra energy thanks to her passive. The best part of her kit is her active ability. She does an incredible big amount of true damage and she is able to execute the enemy if he has less than 20% HP. This effect comes in handy in PvE versus enemies with a really big amount of HP, and it's also really good in PvP, being able to kill Snow White without letting her revive, for example. And that's it for today's video. I hope that I have helped you. Thank you so much for watching, leave a comment, drop a like and consider subscribing if you wanna see more Grimlight content in the future, and see you in the next video. Ciao!